Hey, good afternoon. This is Paul Hansen from Adventure on the Water. Just want to welcome you into Minnesota. We've had a really long winter, and so for our kayak season, seems to be a little shorter than those folks down in the little latitudes. So welcome up to Minnesota. I like to fly fish out of my MX, and I like to go on a minimalist type of adventures. So what I want to do is I want to tie the patterns that I know are going to work for me on the Mississippi where I live, and what is going to be lightweight and easy to bring with. So today we're going to start off with a black leech, and the reason why I'm using this black leech is we're dealing with some high water right now, so it's really tough to get out and kayak. But as soon as that water comes down, the bugs are starting to move around and the leeches are going to start coming out of the dirt, and life is going to be really great for smallmouth fishing. So we're going to start off with the black leech pattern that I find really effective for the upper Mississippi River here in Minnesota. We're going to start off with some red tinsel, and this just gives a little accent in there, and we're going to tie that right in. We started off with a streamer hook, cone head, and we've already pre-wrapped that. The hook that I'm using is a size 4 streamer hook, and I'm using a large cone head to put that in. So we're going to wrap that in, and I put that first because we want that to just give a little accent into that fly. And then we can trim this off as we want. And a lot of times it doesn't even matter about trimming it off at the end. It gives us some great flash. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of head cement, or I use some clear nail polish. I'm going to grab a black bunny strip. These are the Magnum strips. And what I like to do is measure about the length of the shank of the hook. And then we're just going to bring back a little bit of hair, snip that off. This is going to be our tail section. As you can see, we've got a nice length. And make sure that when you do cut this, that the grain of the hair is going off to your left, or it goes to the back of the hook. Now, because I put in a little bit of head cement, that's going to make sure that this will lock in tight, so it's not spinning on you. Alright. Now we've got that. The next part is the easiest. We're going to cut another strip. You decide how long you want it. Makes it easier for you to be able to finish it off at the end. Now the one last thing I like to do before we get up there is I'm going to finish this hook, wrap some thread all the way up behind that bell cone head there, and just give it some thread wrap. Bring it back. And the reason why I do that is that we're going to add some more head cement and just coat that thread. You want that because rabbit is a little bit slippery on the backside, and with that being done, it will prevent it from spinning. So now we're going to make a little slight cut into it. You want to kind of cut it into a triangle, because then when you do that, when you start to wrap forward, it's not going to fold back on itself. Tie that in, secure it in nice and tight, and like I said, we've got that head cement wrapped in there, so that's going to keep this rabbit nice and tight. Now as you are wrapping forward and palmering that, just make sure you stroke those feathers back so they don't get wrapped up on each other, and that you're not binding it all up. So just going to palmer that around, stroking those feathers back. You can use head cement, you can use Zap-A-Gap, or you can use any CA type glues that will lock that in there for you. I'm going to bring that right up to the tip, and I'm going to finish that off. Now the one thing I like to do is get deep in behind that cone head, make a couple wraps, and just get that in there really nice and tight. Now I'm going to come in, snip off And we're just going to finish that wrap right behind. Now the neat thing I can do with this is that we're going to build up a little bit of head back here, and that cone is going to come tight right up onto it. So we're going to finish that head off there, do a couple whip finishes. And cut it off. Now I'm going to grab the head cement, come back in. You can do a nice dollop in there, whatever is easiest for you. And we're going to push that forward. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the thread start back just a little bit behind the eye, finish that off, and we're going to push that cone head back as far as we can and build up a head, so that's going to prevent the cone head from moving. And you can see that it's going to give it a nice placement in there and prevent that from sliding around. We just give it a couple whips. Snap that off, give another hit of the proverbial head cement, and we are done. I'm Paul Hansen from Adventure on the Water. For more information on tips on fishing smallmouth, go to adventureonthewater.com.